welcome to Tigers, blah, blah, blah. The top of the league edition, volume 2.
Volume 2.
Volume 2, because we were last week as well. I'm Luke Flanagan, and joining me is Rich Walker, as always. Hello.
Hello.
Good week, wasn't it, for City?
Enjoyable.
Very enjoyable.
Yeah.
And that makes it, lots undefeated and one goal conceded in like 6 or 7 or whatever it is. So,
And all of it horribly undeserved.
Apparently, so we'll get to that. Can't wait for that. That's good. So before we get into the good, just obviously a few thanks as we normally do. We've got I'm going to go with our Patreons first, obviously, because they donate to us. Working on some Christmas gift ideas for all you guys who pay into us very gratefully, obviously. So we've got Lewis Elliott, Danny Nicol, Ewan Jones, Adam Brown, Alex O'Neill, Micah San, and Aaron Bell. Adam Brown sent us a voice message this week, Rich, so I'll include it in this week's episode. Basically, very positive about City and everything that's going on, so that'll be good to hear for everybody, I think, because everybody is on a high at the minute. I would say 99% of people are all getting behind everything. So, and obviously the other two is Hull City Ladies. Obviously, it's going to be a bit difficult for them at the minute, isn't it, when everything resumes? Double tier, really, because obviously for tier 3, we won't be able to have supporters go and see them. But also, they won't get any funding.
We'll all just have to pack into St Stephen's instead and do our Christmas shopping.
Yeah, because now could go wrong there, could they?
No.
I mean, you won't be able to catch COVID from going shopping, would you?
Nah.
I don't think so.
Safe.
I mean, grounds of Hayworth Park, home of Hall Road and Hull City Ladies, rife. But, yeah.
It's all there.
Yeah. Every stadium, go in the KC, mate, yeah. Any stadium, 70,000 seat stadium like Old Trafford is there. But, tiny shopping centre, get as many people as you want in the shop. You're all right. Don't worry about it.
At the busiest time of year.
Yeah. I mean, the double whammy, what I was going to mention also is that Hull City Ladies, because they're in 3rd tier of women's football, they don't qualify for any funding. So that's good. That's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
So very fair.
Help out those that need it most.
Indeed.
By closing their grounds.
Exactly. We'll just put London in tier 2 and then we'll go from there. So obviously commiserations to Hull City Ladies and Danny Johnson at the minute. I hope things turn around and we can have some changes with that, but it doesn't look too good at the minute, does it?
No.
And then obviously FanHub is our partner, media partner, where FanHub fans come first, which is FanHub_football. So check them out.
Love an underscore.
We all love an underscore, don't we all? So, Richard Walker, where are you going to start with your good for this week?
Well, my good, and I texted you early on in the week to Bagsy it because
you did.
It
was during the game, I think.
Yeah, it was. It was during the Ipswich game. My good's Josh McGuinness.
You bastard.
I thought last week neither of us went with the obvious good in Samuelson. So this week I thought I'd get right in there, get stuck in. I bloody love talking about Josh McGuinness.
Mate, don't we all?
So I wanted to talk about him a little bit more this week.
Do it.
I love you, Josh McGuinness.
That's an outstanding Northern Irish accent you got on you there. Imagine if he ever listened to this and he'd be absolutely fuming when he's just like, I don't sound like that.
Yeah, rightfully so. I mean, that was me trying to take off Jim McDonald. I don't know how successfully I did it.
I think it sounds quite good. But anyway, you were talking about Big Josh.
Yeah, I was very, very impressed with the week that he had. 3 excellent goals.
Oh, yeah.
And it could have been 4 as well, because he had a brilliant chance in the second half of the Ipswich game to net his 4th.
Yes.
But if we start with the MK Dons game, his 2 goals were outstanding.
Particularly that second one.
I loved that second one. We'll come to that.
Yeah, sorry, jumping gun a bit, aren't
I? Yeah, just a little bit. The first one, it was such a good finish, though, to take it like he did on the volley, and just to get us underway, like 2 minutes into the game, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2 or 3. 2 or 3. Oh no, was it about 7? Yeah. I want to say it's 7 minutes because they score.
They
score
I'm confused.
They score after about 11, and then we went up the other end and scored again.
Yeah, they dominated that minute though in between.
Please.
Never mind that they didn't have a kick, but bloody hell, their defensive shape.
I do not speak. If I speak, I'm in big trouble.
I think my impressions are better than yours. But the first goal that he took, it was the type of finish that you really wouldn't expect out of him.
I mean, I think that's probably. I don't think people associate McGuinness with bagging every week. I think.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying more than I wouldn't expect him to be able to produce that. It's like people think about Josh McGuinness, and it's like, works hard, does the job for the team, pitches in with the odd goal,
assists more than he scores, sort of thing. You would say normally. I mean, that's been the criticism in the past, that he hasn't scored as much as a central striker should.
Yeah, and last season I think that was fair. But the thing that I loved so much about his second goal was his movement. But then having seen the first one back again and kind of appreciating it, his movement for the first. It's like he's wrong side of Keogh, and he takes him one way towards goal when the ball comes in, and then he just drops off him again to give himself half a yard and to sweep it into the net the way that he did. I just thought it was. I don't want to use the word exceptional,
but you're gonna.
Yeah, just because it's such a clever bit of strike play, and you might look at it and you think, well, it's a simple piece of movement.
It's not. It was not for that at all.
It's not. No, he's not just gone straight towards the ball to attack it. He's drawn his defender one way towards the goal, and then he's backed off him just to give himself that half yard. The finish then just to volley it in low, all right, he's right on top of the goal, but it really was his movement that made that for me. And then his second one was the same, a great piece of play from Elder to just kind of surge down the left-hand side. He really did power past his man.
First one was Emmanuel all down the side before he whipped it in. Yeah. And then second
it was nice from Coyle and not Coyle, Wilkes and Wilkes to lay it back and then the ball in from Emmanuel was brilliant. But we're getting used to seeing that every week from Emmanuel, aren't we? So it's almost like you take it for granted.
Very solid.
Elder's really coming into form, I think, recently. And to see him get outside of MK Dons and just surge past, put that ball in, was really pleasing. And then not only has he clipped it in early, because he'd gone slightly behind the defence, but it's the way that McGuinness gathers it. And again, he goes one way. He doesn't move the ball, but he goes one way with it, and then the other way just to kind of, again, throw Keogh off.
It just completely turns Keogh inside out. And did you see Keogh's reaction when it went in top corner?
Yeah,
he was just like, he couldn't believe it, could he? He was just like, I've shown him outside and everything.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're Richard Keogh, you're thinking that the keeper shouldn't be getting beat at the front post.
True, but Richard Keogh's still shit.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he had a stinker, didn't he? I enjoyed that. But again, like keeping on McGuinness, it's the way that he gathered the ball in, and it was his initial first touch where he doesn't do an awful lot with it, but he kind of steps again. Steps and then comes back and to draw Keogh in and to bring him onto his front foot. But then he knows he's immediately going to move past him, so he's creating that space by drawing Keogh into him, and he goes past him in behind and just smashes it into the roof of the net.
Yeah, very enjoyable to watch.
It was, and the response was brilliant. With the disappointment of having lost your lead so quickly to a spawny goal, you have to say that really MK Dons were lucky to get back into it with the slip from Emmanuel.
Not if you listen to their fucking manager, he wasn't.
Well,
I think that.
Why would you listen to an opposition manager talk about a whole City game, because they're all getting the take so drastically wrong? So.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, we'll get to that because I think I've got that as a topic to come up later on. But obviously, did you then want to talk about his finish against Ipswich to round off the Josh McGuinness loving?
Could we?
Could we, please? I want to.
Please.
Please?
I would
please.
like to.
I'm not finished.
Yeah, I'm not finished, please.
Okay, finished.
Yeah. I'm not
No. Go on.
It was one of those, wasn't it? It looked like he was surprised to get onto it, and it's not. It doesn't really have the same quality that I think his 2 goals against MK Dons had.
No.
Because it's a bit of a hopeful ball forward from Reece Burke, and it sort of slipped past the Delican on the way through to McGuinness, and you can just see he's alive to it.
Yeah, I mean,
which is maybe again that's a positive
he's
because he's alive.
He's in form, isn't he? So anything, he's just going to have that sort of split second where he's going to be ahead of anyone because he believes that he can do it now. He's scored as many as he has now. Scored the same as Keane.
Sorry, it wasn't a Delican. It shot past. It was Wilkes. It was just the fact that he was alive to the ball running onto him in the area. They stood around looking for offside.
I mean, it was about as offside as the Grimsby, the one that they claimed was offside, which wasn't, by the way.
Yeah, because he's just moved past their, I think it's their right back or their right centre half. He's just gone past him.
Yeah.
And he's left with arms outstretched towards the assistant referee. Like, how's that not offside? Like,
because it wasn't.
Yeah, because he's gone past you. So that was, the 2 positives for me. It's like his 2 goals against MK Dons are really very good pieces of strike play, and if they came from an opposition number 9, you're thinking, wow, he looks a bit good. But because it's from McGuinness and we've sort of seen him struggle last year to make an impact, I don't think we're quite as ready to laud him, with the sort of praise that those 2 goals deserved. And then the third, the one against Ipswich, I enjoyed just because, like I say, he was so alert to what was happening and the fact that something might drop to him. It was classic number 9 play. The only thing that takes shine off it is that he should have had 4.
Yeah, I know, but
he should have had 4 in the week.
Imagine us last season going, well, he scored 3 but should have got 4. It's usually he should have scored that 1 chance he had. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you've got to put it into perspective a little bit.
Yeah, I'll forgive him. It was a good week.
And man, I did say to you that my good was Josh Emmanuel, and I kind of wanted to lump in another player at the same time. And I'll start with the other player because he's also a striker, and I'm really pleased for Tom Eaves because
I thought you might be.
Because I know he didn't score against. It was in the week. Where was it in the week? Grimsby. No, he set up. It was against MK Dons. He set up the 3rd goal, didn't he? But it wasn't something that you'd associate with Tom Eaves assisting, is it really? But he came on, and he's not for sitting. No. And he's come on. He's like worked hard for the team and done what he's been told to do, and then I think he should. I mean, when he's through against Ipswich, and you're watching that, I was like on my knees, going, please.
Well, it was similar to the chance that he got against Grimsby.
There was one against Burton that was exactly the same as well. Because he'd had one there where we were 1-0 up and he had a 1-on-1.
Yeah, that was it. Not Grimsby, Burton. And he took himself wide.
I mean, he did have chances against Grimsby, but not as clear cut as that. But it really reminded me of the Burton one because he took a bad touch, didn't he, and went too far to the left.
Yeah, he did.
And just let the keeper make the save. But I was coming through, I was like, come on, don't make that same mistake again. And then when it went into the net, you could just see like the relief around the rest of the team for him. They were so delighted for him, weren't they?
Yeah. I mean, was that the one where George Honeyman looks like his eyeballs?
Yeah, he's just staring at him, like shouting at him, like face to face. I saw a tweet that said something like, "Get somebody who looks at you the way that George Honeyman looks at Tom Eaves," which I thought was quite good.
I'm not sure you'd want that. It was a little bit scary.
It was just passionate, wasn't it? But obviously last week I kind of went off on one a little bit and just got a bit fed up with the amount of shit that I was seeing. Slagging off Eaves, and I'm kind of glad that he's assisted in one game and then scored in the other. Hopefully that's small steps to being a little bit more when he gets his chance. I assume this weekend, and I will get to that, but I assume this weekend he may get his chance up front against Stevenage, so we'll see how that goes.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, but I mean, Josh Emmanuel. I mean, where to start with him? I mean,
what more do you say?
Free transfer, and you think he'll be good backup for Louis Coyle. Obviously, I mean,
that was what we all thought coming into the season.
They actually,
Louis
they actually
Coyle
played together.
I'm
sure they played together at the weekend. Didn't he come on as more of a sort of left winger, Coyle?
Louis Coyle came on against Ipswich.
But they were still on the same pitch, weren't they?
Yeah.
It's interesting to see how he's going to try and make that work. I assume, again, at the weekend that it'll be Coyle that plays and he'll give Emmanuel a rest because he's probably played more games than he wanted to. He'd probably want to rotate them two a bit more.
I would imagine so. He's not been afforded that
No,
luxury,
because obviously when he came in against... Where was it that Coyle got injured? Was it Peterborough? No. It may have been. No,
it was
Wimbledon, wasn't it? AFC Wimbledon. And obviously he's come in for the midweek game and got injured after half an hour and gone off. And then, obviously Emmanuel's had to come in. But he's absolute powerhouse, isn't he? Like, the way he just gets up and down, the way he's, like, brilliant going forward and proper solid. Nothing comes down his wing, does it? He's just so composed on the ball. I don't think I've ever been, like, so impressed with a right back. You probably compare him to sort of how good a season Odebaggio had when we went.
He's got a little way to go before he gets into my top three Hull City right backs.
No, I mean in recent times. I mean,
yeah, I'm talking within the last 12 years, but is that recent anymore? I don't know.
Well,
I still prefer. I mean, if it was me, I would still be looking at a top three of Liam Rossini, Sam Ricketts, and Odebaggio.
I think, I mean,
that's conventional right backs. That's El Mohammadi notwithstanding.
Yeah, I do get that, but I think there's comparisons with his form so far to be made to Odebaggio. I don't know about you. In that season that he was outstanding before he obviously got injured and he had an awful time, didn't he? Odebaggio at the end didn't.
Yeah, with the caveat that he's playing a division below. I mean, obviously, there's a world of difference between a team at the sharp end of League One and a team at the sharp end of the Championship. Because Odebaggio, unlike Emmanuel, if memory serves me correctly, didn't have the best of starts to his City career. Because I think him and El Mohammadi struggled to develop an understanding.
El Mohammadi was always an odd one because he played wing back so much. Then going back to kind of was it what right wing or was it right back? Because it depended on where Bruce was playing him.
Yeah, sometimes he'd play ahead of Odebaggio, and you could see that at times they struggled, and that was, as far as I remember, certainly the story of Odebaggio's start with City. But then his form in the tail end of 2015-16, he was outstanding. He really was. So,
I mean, I just wanted to. I don't think I've picked Josh Emmanuel for a lot of weeks to talk about positive, but he's always that sort of 8 out of 10, isn't he?
We're just getting used to it, aren't we? It's one of those things. It's like he's been so good that you kind of like, that's just what he does.
It's just, I mean, team of the week again according to Sky Bet League One Twitter account. He was on there, as was McGuinness. So, it's just, I just want this to keep up. It's brilliant. I love it, mate.
Yeah, it was. It seems a bit unfair, really, to single out Emmanuel on his own out of that. I know for praise because I thought in both games, all four
they just got they seem to have such an understanding, don't they? It's just there's no weak link there really because Elder's raised his game after that Fleetwood performance originally.
Yeah,
he's done really well.
And I know that. I know Baz Cooper in the Hull Daily Mail in one of his stories this week highlighted the impact that Jacob Greaves has had upon that back four, and it is the difference is marked, isn't it? It really is. How much more settled they look with him in there, which is really strange for somebody with so few career appearances to have such a big effect on the players around him. But he's settled them right down.
Yeah, he has.
Obviously, he's benefited from the very strong spine of the team in front of him, because I think the last couple of weeks as well, Richie Smallwood
Outstanding.
has been brilliant. He's kicked every ball, he's kicked every one. I thought in both games this last week, he could have been man of the match.
I think there's just so many you can choose from. I do think though that Smallwood is really integral to what we do. And I mean, that might be a little bit of a nice segue into what I was going to talk about for the bad. Because the bad for me wasn't anything strictly to do with City at all. It was the way that the Ipswich pundits were bagging us. I thought it was only bad because I thought it was so hilarious that they must have watched a different game. This came from Tiger's Tube on Twitter. They'd put this video together. I actually retweeted it, but I'm not sure if you've been on recently.
I've only been on to keep up with Black Friday deals this week.
That's a fair enough reason to go onto social media. But it was basically, Tiger's Tube quote said, BBC Comedy pledges to bring the nation comedy that will keep you laughing all the way through the winter. And then it just says, Josh Cole, head of comedy, BBC Studios. And it's just, and it was just like, you weren't impressed with them, were you? And he was like, no, I wasn't. And he just goes on to this big rant saying, well, they scored early and then they never did anything. The back four's fairly solid, but their midfield's just so... He started slagging the midfield off, saying they don't do anything. And I was just like, are you actually joking? Like, it's one thing to get beaten, and it's one thing for him to go, oh, well, we had all the possession. But it's just like, well, again, that's usually what you do when you lose, isn't it? We had all the possession. The work that those three midfielders do just cannot be understated, because Honeyman never stops. Smallwood breaks up play so well. And you just like, whoever plays in there, I mean, Doherty's dropped out there. That may be a little bit of a interesting topic. I don't know what your thoughts are on him. Because he wasn't in form pretty much, was he? Towards the back end of his performances, Greg Doherty.
He hit a little bit of a dip, but I don't think anybody has grasped the nettle, so to speak.
One thing I did see from him on his own Twitter account, he wasn't even in the squad, was he, against Ipswich? And he'd retweeted the Hull City victory as 3-0 and just gone, get in, lads. So he's clearly, he'll be disappointed not to be in the team, but he's obviously not one of them who's causing trouble. And when you're not playing, some players can get a little bit moody, can't they? He's obviously bought into everything that the squad's doing and just biding his time to wait to get back in. I assume he'll be playing at the weekend. I'm not sure how much McCann is going to want so many fixtures if you're going to get into the FA Cup. It'd be nice to get maybe a Premier League team or whatever for, I don't know, TV money, even if it is, but you're not going to have the gate revenue, are you?
Financial.
The same. You will get more as the competition goes on, in terms of, if you win in different rounds, it goes up, doesn't it? So there is that caveat this year that people will be interested in, but I just thought that was an interesting one as well, that the way that Ipswich fell down the route of the same thing that all teams done that we've played, in that they all feel really hard done by and all their answers come from a bingo card.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to opposition managers and pundits, when they're giving their comments, they're speaking largely directly to their supporters. So they will say things to kind of downplay the negatives,
essentially,
from their perspective, and they will say things that try and denigrate us. I'd said it earlier in the season. I don't really care what opposition managers and in this respect pundits have to say, and in a funny sort of a way, if they were talking purely about the first half, I can see their point, because we were loose on the ball. We did give them far too much of it. And a better team would make us pay for that. But they had no cutting edge. And if they're fair,
they were fair. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So they've chosen to focus on our negatives when really there were far more that they could talk about for Ipswich. And I know MK Dons manager had the same, slight little dig about them dominating the game. And, they dominated the ball, and MK Dons had more attacking threat than Ipswich did. But Ipswich never looked like breaking us down. That was the thing, the textbook away performance is to nick a goal and then say, go on then, break us down. And Ipswich didn't have anywhere near the quality, and you could see that. Half an hour into the game, it's like they've got nobody who'll break us down here. They didn't have that player who was playing in between the lines and could cause that little bit of chaos and drag players out of position and create pockets of space.
It's all right if you're having the ball, but if you've got no sort of creativity going forward, there's no. I mean, certainly you'd be happy for him to let them have the ball. That's exactly what happened, isn't it? McCann goes, let him have it. Can't do fuck all with it.
Yeah, I mean, I would rather that we had the ball because, if we've got the ball, then they can't. They've got no opportunity to score. But with them having it, they didn't do anything with it. MK Dons made a little bit more. I thought Fraser and Walker for them both look very good players. So they had that little bit of individual skill, but then their other thing of allowing Keogh to have it and play out from deep didn't do an awful lot for them.
I was not impressed with that.
I think in the two games where I think we've had 36% possession in both games, our defensive shape has been excellent. It's not just about having the ball;
Absolutely.
It's what you do with it. Possession for the sake of it is ultimately just a statistic if it doesn't lead anywhere.
What was you going to talk about bad before we go on to the next section?
I am going to talk about a bad, but it's not really anything to do with the game. So probably save that for a little bit later on. Because there was no negatives to come out of it. Out of the
there's certainly nothing I can criticise City for. So
to highlight an individual player would have been completely unfair. And the way that the team's played to come out with 6 points from two very tricky away games on paper, I think they deserve nothing but plaudits. It's been a really, really good week and really enjoyable.
Agreed. Right. Are we going to go on to our numbers?
Can do, yeah.
Do you want to go first? I know you said your number was 8, did you not?
Yeah, my number's 8 this week.
Okay, so what does that ascertain to?
That's the number of clean sheets.
Oof.
And I know that we've spoken about it quite regularly, the number of clean sheets that we've kept and missed a clean sheet. Matt Ingram that was spoken about earlier in the season, a few weeks ago.
Loves it, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does, and I do.
We all love it, don't we?
Made a couple of big saves in the MK Dons game as well.
He did, yeah. I did think they had some sort of liveliness going forward, but
they did. To be fair to them, the start of the second half, they did come out quite brightly, I thought.
Yeah.
And I know that Ingram had to make a couple of stops. There was one in the first half that he had to make when they came down the right-hand side, or their right-hand side in behind Elder. And there was another one in the second half. But the reason why I felt like it was worth noting that we've got 8 clean sheets at this point, why it was significant in amongst another clean sheet, was that we've now passed our total number of clean sheets that we kept in 2019-20.
Oh, bloody hell.
So
we were only 7.
Yeah, we were only 7 clean sheets in the league last season. And we're not even, what are we, 13 games
14 games? I think it's 13.
Yeah, 13. We're not even a quarter way into the season yet.
Unbelievable. It's a very good record. I mean, I know we are a league below, but you can't knock that, can you?
No.
Fair play.
Oh, we are a quarter way into the season, aren't we? Where's my maths? That would be 52.
Yeah, just over, but still. I mean, the point is valid. I think, to match that already when you played 40 odd games last year, and we kept 46 games. We kept 7 clean sheets.
Yeah, and again, it's a league below, but I think it's a feather in the cap of Ingram himself, because there were doubts about him. I had mine, I'll admit,
Well, I mean, he came in for the Luton game, didn't he?
Well, he's a complete unknown,
and it was just so unfair to judge him off that one performance. But that's all he had, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's a not a complete unknown, a virtual unknown, given the limits to his game time in his first season.
Well, I mean, Long had got the captaincy in some games.
Yeah.
You know, and he was an ever present, wasn't he? So it was very bleak for him to try and see first team football on the horizon. It was just going to be him on the bench for the foreseeable, I think, until obviously the relegation. And Long was injured for a little bit at the start of the season, wasn't he?
Yes, I know he had to isolate as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did at different points. So obviously Ingram's taken full advantage, and all credit to him.
Well, it's credit to him, but again, it's credit to the defence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, three of the four of them have been constant.
Yep.
And again, like we were saying in the last segment, it's a credit to the spine of the team, because I think the way that they defend as a team and the shape is been very, very good. So, you know, that's why I felt like it was significant.
Perfect. I'm going up the other end for my number. Okay. Mine's 18.
Right.
And did you know, Statman, Hull City have the most away goals in all top 4 tiers of the English football divisions this season?
I think I heard that.
18.
Ipswich game.
Yeah, 18 goals.
Yeah.
Second is Blackburn with 15, and then 14 is Preston, Portsmouth and Cambridge, and then 13 is Tottenham, Leicester and Oldham. Obviously, Tottenham are up there, and they scored a lot of goals, particularly one game they scored 6 against Man United, but they've played less games than League One, obviously, because there's less games to play. But I did think that was, I mean, how torrid was our away performances last year, particularly back end. I mean, we usually lost
performances in general weren't great.
But it was like 1 or 2-0, wasn't it? At home, usually blunt in attack, couldn't do anything, conceded early, and we just couldn't score.
Couldn't score for Toffee.
But then when we went away, I mean, you only have to mention the term Wigan, and everyone just, you know, you have flashbacks to that. But I mean, that's what a turnaround that is. From
well, there's only Portsmouth in League One who've scored more goals than us. Full stop.
Yeah, I think they've scored 1 more than us.
2.
Oh, is it 2? Right, 2 more.
Yeah, they're on 26, but they have played a game more.
Do you know what's very bizarre is I see a lot of Portsmouth fans on social media wanting their manager out, and they've scored the most. Yeah, they've scored, because it's Kenny Jackett, isn't it?
Right.
And they've scored the most goals like in the division, and they've still got all their fans bagging him, saying that he's shit and he should fuck off. Basically, that was the summary of the tweets of Portsmouth that I saw the other night when I was looking. Which seems a little bit bizarre to me. But anyway, yeah, 18 goals is the most away goals in all of the 4 divisions. There we go.
I mean, by the same token, Ipswich fans were calling for Lambert to go, weren't they?
I know an Ipswich fan, Hayden, and he's... I'll go back and I'll read. We have a group chat. There's a few of us in there, and he was not impressed, shall we say. Right, let me read this.
Okay.
This is from my mate Hayden. Luke, I'm telling you now, Hull will win. Judge is the worst player we've got. A lot of running and no quality. Hayden the fortune teller. This will end 3 or 4-0. We're crap. And then at the end he put, you know what I mean? Crap. We don't beat these teams. Crap. Emmanuel's best performance at Portman Road. Of course he has. We're shit, honestly.
I did enjoy that. I enjoyed that. This
is embarrassing. No offence, but it's fucking Hull. Lambert's got to go. We are toss. Next level crap. So, as you can tell, he was not particularly happy.
I'm not on board with that. It's fucking Hull comment.
I know, but he's an Ipswich fan, mate. Come on, he's gonna say that, isn't he? I just kept quiet and then just sent him a. I think I sent him a tiger emoji. I think that was it. Tigers. So yeah, that was my number, and then and then we wanted to look forward to the games, the next couple of games. We've got a league game next week, midweek, which will be Doncaster, and Sunday is, isn't it? We're on BBC.
Sunday. Yes, we are. Red button, single camera presentation.
Red button, single
all
camera.
The glamour of the second round of the FA Cup.
We are used to that, though, single camera action. And we've got Stevenage. So, what are your thoughts briefly for over the next couple of games?
Well, if we're looking at Stevenage first, we should win the game.
Okay. Thanks.
We should win the game.
Thanks for that one. Over to the next game. No, I'm joking. I mean, yeah, you're right. Yeah, we should. But I mean,
they're 21st in League One.
Yeah,
they've won once in the last 5. They've won twice all season.
Yeah.
I was reading before we spoke a couple of Stevenage fan sites, just to kind of get a feel for how they've been playing in the last few games.
Yeah,
and it seems very doom and gloom. They were talking about how the side seems adamant to prove that lightning can strike twice, and the team can have 2 horrendous seasons in a row, because last year they were 23rd.
Yeah.
And only avoided relegation because the other teams no longer exist.
Yeah.
So
it was Macclesfield went shit, did it?
Yeah. Yeah. Was it Bury last season as well?
Bury at the start of the year. Yeah, they never played a fixture because they couldn't fulfil it, could they?
Yeah, but that obviously affected relegation.
It did. Yeah. I'm just looking at their last game. They actually won their last game. They beat Port Vale in the week.
Yeah, they beat Port Vale, and it was. I read. It's actually one of the other sites that are in the Fan Hub 100, boroughguide.co.uk.
Oh yeah,
looking at.
Okay.
And they kind of said in their preview for the Port Vale game that there's sort of no point going over the same ground week in, week out, because the story of Stevenage's season so far is that they can't score goals and they can't keep them out. Which is not a recipe for success.
No, it's not particularly, is it?
And the one thing that they said in their preview for that Port Vale game that stood out to me was they've lost 2/3 of their home games and failed to score in that many too.
Wow. I mean, that stinks of Stevenage win, doesn't it, really?
Well, you might say that, but I think, we've put typical City to bed.
I hope so. I do hope so, yeah.
A couple of times already this season.
Yes.
So as a team from a higher division that's in good form, if you're feeling positive, which we should be, you're looking at that and thinking, well, yeah, we'll go in there and we'll fancy a bit of that, even with changes to the team.
Yeah. Yeah, I expect maybe 8-9 changes at least.
Yeah, McCann's been quite quiet about it, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he talks tomorrow. He does his proper presses tomorrow. So he might give us more, but I'm sure he'll just keep it in-house because he doesn't want anybody knowing, does he? Getting anything older or anything like that, which is right.
No, I mean, I imagine we'll see Lewis Potter and hopefully Doherty will be back in. But then I know that Richie Smallwood was saying in his interviews after the game midweek that he's as keen as can be to play, because he said he spent 2 years not playing.
It's fair play. It's fair point. He did. He was at Blackburn, played loads when they got promoted, and then never really kicked a ball, did he? Season after.
Yeah. So he's keen to play. And then even if there are changes, you've got other players that are keen to prove points. If Tom Eaves gets his start, he wants to.
I assume Samuelson should start. I think.
Yeah.
And I think McLaughlin will also. No reason not to.
McLaughlin and Jones should play centre halves.
I would have thought so. He'd probably play Batty. Because he's not really played an awful lot, has he, Dan Batty?
No, not at the moment. I'll be interested to see what he does out wide. Because I think there's a nice with hopefully Lewis Potter coming in to play one game. There's another spot there, and I think there's a nice competition for places that's sort of opening up between the winger that isn't Malik Wilkes.
Yeah.
Or the wingers that aren't Malik Wilkes.
There's plenty vying for spots. I mean,
there are.
I'd expect somebody like Mayer to be given a chance. I mean, cause I think
he needs to start taking them as well.
I think he does. I think when he came on against Grimsby, I think it was very good. But I would have wanted to see that the previous game that he started with, he wasn't that good. So yeah, if he gets a chance, if he doesn't take it, I can't see it being. I can see it being a long time before he gets another one, unless there's an injury. If you know what I mean, I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, he needs to do well in these cup games to force his way into.
He does, and I think he will play against Crewe the week after. because we have the Papa John's Mega Pizza Trophy. We have that on the 7th or the 8th. I'm not sure which day it is, but it's those 2 days anyway. And I assume we would do the similar kind of thing. The Cup squad is always going to be much changed, just to keep players happy, keep them fit. You know, you're going to have some of the first team players that can't get in. They're going to be playing the 23s as well, I think, because they've done that this season. Just because there's so much competition for places. I mean, it's only a good thing for us, but you know, you do feel sometimes for those players who maybe putting it in training and grafting. And McCann's like, what can I do? These squads of, you know, the starting 11 have won six in a row. What can I do? People are not droppable unless it is a cup competition. So Coyle should come in, for example. At right back, probably give,
because there's what 8-9 of the places for the side that's been playing in the league that at the moment you can't really change.
That's it. I mean, you know, I expect Long to play, but it's the FA Cup. You may even see the full 11 changes again.
Yeah, with a big game in mind in the week. Yeah,
that's what, because I mean, you don't get, you know, it is a derby, isn't it? I mean, if we just briefly talk about Doncaster before we wrap up, I mean,
yeah,
we have
get your playing banners and your your sexy ladies holding your Division 3 trophy. You can get them ready. I was thinking about this today. Do you remember a few episodes ago where I said that you can't ever refer to a team that people pay to watch and base their Saturdays around as a tin pot club?
Yes.
I might make an exception for Doncaster.
Apart from Doncaster, I'll give you that. I will give you that. I'll allow that to be used for Doncaster Rovers only because of the Donny Dog.
Donny Dog, Jesus, yeah. Donny Dog and his stupid face.
Yeah. I've never liked Doncaster. I mean...
No, I haven't. They irritate me.
Yeah. Like a bad smell.
The inferiority complex that they had around winning the Division 3 title. It stank of somebody, like, you know, when you used to be at school and like people would be like, unpopular people would be like, why doesn't anybody like me? Like, this is why nobody likes you, because you complain all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Donny Rovers complaining, like, somebody needs to come and cover our league title win.
No, they don't, because nobody cares.
There's a big club down the road, and they're going up too, and that's the story.
And also,
actually.
Yeah, they're going up, and we're staying up. You'll go straight back fucking down.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Threatening to fly a plane around the KC, and then when we went there the following season, and they'd walk in the Division 3 trophy around in front of the away end. It's like, sorry boys, we've already moved on to bigger things. But you know, when you're the type of club that puts stars on your shirt because you've won a Division 3 title, then what do you expect?
Embarrassing, mate. Embarrassing. Good God. I think you've said everything for me there. I mean, I really hope we smash fuck out of them. I really do. Because they can be a dangerous team this season. I will say that.
They're a good side. You know,
Darren Moore's a good manager. I think he's decent. They've got some good players too.
They've been a little bit inconsistent this season, up and down.
They have.
I mean, you know, but they're suffering with injuries. I think they've got players out up front.
They don't have those big. I mean, they've got quite the few like loan players. They rely on the loan market.
Do you know what I found out was interesting this week? They brought in a lone goalkeeper from QPR, because their keeper previously was on loan from Stoke.
Right.
And he's been recalled to Stoke because they've got injuries.
Yeah.
And
well,
I think he was straight back into Stoke's team this week.
Yeah.
But they've brought a keeper in from QPR and they're contractually bound to play him every week.
That's mad.
Yeah, and the loan is being renewed on a week-by-week basis because it was obviously done on an emergency basis because the transfer window's closed.
Yes. Yeah, I suppose if it is injuries, they do let you have that sort of loophole, don't they?
Yeah.
So.
But their secondary keeper doesn't have any league experience. But obviously he can't get any now because he's contractually bound to be the sub-goalkeeper.
That's really mad, isn't it? That's proper strange. They do have that weird relationship with the loan market, Doncaster. I mean, one player that is of... this is probably the last thing I'll say on Donny, but the one player that is of interest to me more than anybody else is, because I'm mates with his cousin, is Ben Whiteman.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing him because he nearly joined us.
He did nearly join us. And I think there were a lot of alamisms that were to fault for him not joining. I mean, I don't know the full story, and obviously, you know, I don't really need to go into detail about that because he didn't join us. he was also going to move to Barnsley, and then he never did. I think he's probably comfortable at Donny because he's captain, and obviously he's liked there. But he scored some good goals.
He's playing well.
He scored some good goals this year as well. So you'd need somebody horrible on him. I think George Honeyman will give him a right torrid time, but I hope he does do that because I think he has the potential to be. He was match winner in the week because they were 2 down at home against Blackpool, and they ended up winning 3-2. So
that was the other thing I was going to say is they've done well when they've gone behind this season. Donny, they've got resilience, and I think that will be something that we need to watch out for. Our home record is fairly decent. I can see in the form table that at home we've won one or lost one of the last 5 and won all the others, whereas they're a little bit more inconsistent away. Lost 2, drawn 1, and then won 2 of the last 5.
Yeah.
So it is a tricky game. It's not one that you can look past.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I think it would be one that would be a bit spicier if there were fans in the ground as well, because they were obviously quite annoyed about the way that Grant McCann left them last season.
Yeah, there were a lot of bitterness and snaky comments and stuff, I think. They call him Snaky McCann, don't they? So, he obviously came to a much bigger club, and he's still at a much bigger club, so I don't think he'll give any fucks, to be honest. But it'd be a very... McCann didn't beat his old club, Peterborough, did he, this season? Obviously, we lost at home to them, so we don't want a repeat of that. But I'm sure, he's done well for us so far as McCann, top of the league for 2 weeks running. So hopefully it stays like that. He's done very well this season. And we'll go from there. So
yeah, it's a big old game, and hopefully we'll put them to the sort of first Yorkshire derby of the season, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So there we go. We live in hope for another couple of wins, and then I'm sure we'll have another chat next week, will we? Hopefully on a high still.
Hopefully, yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see who he picks for Stevenage, and then back to it first proper full choice for the Donny game, and hopefully we smash him into the ground at the KC.
into next week, and then we'll go and fly a plane over their stadium and laud a very minor achievement.
Indeed.
A very, very minor achievement.
Small club mentality. Good chat as always, mate.
Is there any other business this week?
I don't, other than maybe Tier 3.
Oh, yeah, Tier 3.
Just have a minute.
Tier 3 in the third tier of English.
That's it. Football. It doesn't look very good for us currently, does it? But no. I don't really know what else we can say about it. That was the only other thing. We should acknowledge it, but I don't really want to end it on a depressor.
No, it's. I suppose for some areas of the country, it's nice that there are going to be fans in. 2,000 fans in at stadiums. I'm just itching to get back.
I know. It's just fans are needed back, and it just annoys me that there's places like West Ham are going to get 2,000 fans in that 60,000 stadium. Yet you've had Ferriby having 300 fans in a 2,000 seater ground until recently. That's just like, well, what's fucking safer there? Clearly City.
They'll probably argue that it's about the effect on transport infrastructure and stuff like that around the ground is why they would limit capacity in that way.
Have you tried to park at Ferriby? Jesus.
No, but 300 people, going on the train up to Ferriby or whatever, flooding into that village is, if they were to allow, say, like 8,000 to go to West Ham, it's a lot more people on the tube.
I understand that, but I think even since we should have gone back weeks and weeks ago, the clubs had the plans in place. They've got the one-way systems, and it's all set up. It's all there. You'd only have certain areas open. I'd really fail to see how it's, like we said, bringing it back to the beginning. I don't know how it's different from going shopping, or how it's worse than going shopping, but there we go.
I suppose the only thing is, if you go shopping, they don't make you promise not to sing, shout, or drink.
That is a bit of an odd one, isn't it? I do personally love a good chant.
Can you imagine?
Top man. All your clothes are unbelievable, and chucking beers all over the place.
We've done it in a newsagents, to be fair.
We did do that. That's a story for another time, I think. That might be a Patreon only story, because they're probably the only ones who want to listen to that shit.
Yeah. But yeah, can you imagine like whether it's 2,000 or 4,000 fans witnessing their first goal in 8-9 months and just being like, I'm going to sit on my hands.
Imagine if the steward's telling you to shush.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Anyway, on that very odd note.
Yeah, it is an odd one,
yeah,
isn't it?
I think we'll say Forza Tigers. And I will chat to you next week. And fingers crossed for the weekend and next week, bud.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Forza.
Come on, City.
Come on, City. See ya.
See ya.